our political parties are continuing to adopt a stance that suggested that they all had an absolute majority in the National Assembly. They seem to want to make compromises, but it seems like actually what happens is that they want the other parties to accept all of their programme. That's true of the centrist bloc, but also of the other parties. The opposition parties decided not to join the central bloc in government, but they didn't want to adopt compromises. Mindsets need to change to accept that parties don't see the whole of their manifesto programmes applied.
Let's bring in our Europe correspondent, Siobhan Robbins. And Siobhan, I think it's fair to say French politics really not going well, not just today, but in recent years.
That's exactly right. If you thought France was facing a crisis a month ago, it's just got a whole lot worse. Sebastien Lecornu, the 7th Prime Minister under Emmanuel Macron, and the shortest ever serving Prime Minister in the history of the Fifth Republic, just 27 days in office. So what went wrong? Why did he quit? Well, listening to him there, he basically seems to suggest that what he was working with was totally unworkable, that they were a minority coalition, but the parties within it seemed to all believe that the others should follow their agenda solely. There was no room for compromise. And the big problem is that France is facing massive issues that need to be solved. It's got the largest public debt in the Eurozone. That's spiralling to more than 3 trillion euros. So stuff needs to be sorted out fast. And this budget problem in particular is something that also took the scalp of his predecessor, Francois Bayrou, who had, before he lost a vote of confidence, put forward solutions, for example, scrapping 2 public holidays and making cuts of 44 billion. So what happens next? That's the big question. And Emmanuel Macron basically has 3 options. Firstly, he can appoint a new prime minister. The issue is that he hasn't got many candidates that he'd favour left, and he doesn't want to give it to a left-wing candidate because he's worried that they would dilute his hard-fought pension reforms. The next option would be calling a new parliamentary election. Now, that is something that the far-right party is really keen on. The reason they're so keen on is because they're likely to get a majority. He doesn't want to risk that. So in the past, Macron has ruled that out. And then the third option is that he quit. Now, he is meant to stay in office until May next year. There are growing calls today for him to quit, for him to be impeached. He has ruled that out in the past, but something needs to happen quickly because France's problems simply aren't going away.